Wow! Wow! What an episode of AEW Dynamite. The Inner Circle is no more. A new faction has presented itself. MJF, you no good, dirty son of a... Oh, man, NXT, too. Wow, what an episode of NXT. It looks like we're finally getting that Karrion Kross, Finn Balor match that we've all wanted. Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, the title's on the line. So much to talk about, and your comments on screen in this, the WrestleZone wrap-up. Hey, everybody, it's Kellam. That is John Clark in Central PA, and your comments coming up on the screen. What's up? We know what's going on with the WWE Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that tonight. We have plenty of news with that. We have plenty of news that seems like it is formed for an incredible week for WrestleMania week. That's going to be really, really crazy. We're getting 2 nights of Takeover here. My phone, which is brand new, I'm getting all the notifications on it, all the dings and buzzers and stuff like that, so I'm going to turn it off during the show. But goddamn, John Clark, we're getting 2 nights of Takeover. That's a big announcement. We'll run down to AEW in a second here. Certainly an interesting episode for them, a huge wild ending for them as well. But what a wild night. Get your comments on screen. Continue to share the link, and so you don't stink. Continue to share the link so you win a John Cena action figure, which is pretty cool. We're going to be giving that away this week. So let's get into it. What did you think of the announcement tonight? 2 nights of Takeover the week of WrestleMania.
I like it. I think it's a good move. I think it'll be successful. Like I mentioned on Twitter earlier, I think they're up for somewhat of a challenge because usually they only do 1 takeover that consists of 5 matches. This is essentially 2 takeovers, so they almost need to double their match count. So a little bit more work involved here to build up more matches. So we'll see what they do.
People freaking out about the ending of AEW. Quite the ending there. Quite the ending, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes. It certainly sets up a lot of different things. Maybe the end of the Inner Circle a little bit sooner than we may have thought. And certainly a curveball was thrown, a dramatic moment, a sports entertainment scene to end the show. We'll get into it, and you will get your ratings on screen. Give us your 1 to 10. If you're with us now, a few minutes in, you can be with us in an hour. I guarantee you the rest of your Wednesday night's going to get a whole lot better because we're nerding and we're geeking out, baby, about what is going on with NXT and AEW. The best night of wrestling every week, right? The best night of wrestling every single week, isn't it, John Clark? I think tonight was an amazing show. I caught a whole lot of NXT tonight. They had a lot of developments that seemed pretty good. AEW did a lot of good things, too, that I think are quite compelling. I know you're
not supposed to be double dipping. You're not supposed to be double
dip. I can't double dip my chip. I can't do 2 screens. I can live a 2-screen life.
Hard to focus on one at a time.
I can't have chocolate and peanut butter at the same time. I'm not allowed.
You always taste one more than the other.
Continue to text in, see what you guys are saying here. A lot of people freaking about the potential of a Karrion Kross Finn Balor match. Yes, that was certainly teased. I love the line that Balor gave at the end of the night about that. But as we do every single week, let's jump into AEW Dynamite first. This is an episode with a lot going into it because this is coming off this past Sunday's Revolution, which I thought was a really, really strong pay-per-view. But the big talking point from that pay-per-view wasn't even, hey, what a great show we had, or wow, this exploding barbed wire death match and explosions and Jon Moxley's face and Kenny Omega keeping the title, the debut of Christian Cage, the long-anticipated who was the debut. No, it was the dud of an explosion that was supposed to blow up the ring at the end of the night. So they did work around this. They did do a promo where it appears that Eddie Kingston and who saved him, who came in to save Jon Moxley from that not explosion. He covered him, and they basically did I thought they did like a crafty, fun promo, John. So basically what they did is they made it seem like that Eddie Kingston was dealing with the same type of panic that he would when he was in prison. He almost thought he was going to go to like Rikers Island, like when he was committing street crimes. And they also kind of alluded on the goof of that it was a joke, that Kenny played a joke on them at the end of the night. Later on in the night, Kenny Omega did that as well. Obviously, that was the talking point you saw in wrestling circles coming on a Sunday, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And it was an unfortunate one. That's not fair to them. That's not fair to the guys in the ring, but AEW is going to have to take the bullet on this one. So some people were wondering how they were going to work their way out because they were going to have to acknowledge it. and they certainly did. I want to know what you fans thought of how they kind of worked their way out of that non-explosion at the end of the night. The dud. People are now referring to it as the dud of an ending here. Also, people want to know your favorite flavor of Mountain Dew. John, your favorite flavor of Mountain Dew?
Yeah, because they always see me drinking, you know.
I'm doing the Dew as well. I'm doing the Dew as well from Polo Campero. You're doing Baja Blast?
That's not my favorite, though. The recent introduction of Major Melon is close to the top. my favorite is the Blue Voltage, obviously.
The fact that you know them all is ridiculous. If you're with us for the first time, let us know what you guys think here. We have Christopher saying he loved Darby Allin, thought he was awesome tonight. Darby Allin and Scorpio Sky, I thought, had the match of the night on AEW. I thought this was the match of the night. Very compelling. Darby Allin taking all the big bumps, but able to get out of them. He dived through the ropes for a suicide dive into a cutter, which I thought was really cool. He tried to do his coffin drop, and like Scorpio turned and like caught him into a power bomb, but he was able to get out of it with a roll-up, sneaking his way. So Scorpio Sky got very, very close. He won the Face of the Revolution ladder match this past Sunday. So this gave him the title shot at Darby, the TNT champion. Thought that was a great match. I also thought they had a great opener. This was a really, really strong opener from the two teams that will likely fight for the championship in a little bit here. Ray Phoenix with Pac in his corner from Death Triangle against Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks with, obviously, Nick Jackson in his corner. This was a really, really strong opener. They did a lot of different things. They didn't have too much interference. They were leaping elbows off the top rope, working on the outside of the ring where it wasn't like meaningless. And I mean, I wouldn't say meaningless, but it wasn't like dusty. Like it actually worked. The things they did outside of the ring meant something. Sometimes in AEW, you see them do it too much. But Phoenix reverses it. Thunder Driver. Ray Phoenix gets the win. They've been featuring him quite a bit in main event matches, but he didn't win. And he would have these fantastic performances, but he wouldn't win. And I love that he got a win over one half of the tag team champions. Really gives the challengers some momentum here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the attention was obviously not really directed towards him after the match. Would you agree there? I think the attention was obviously, you know, in a different direction. Would you agree or not?
What exactly are you saying? I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, like, so even though obviously he is kind of like the more full-time wrestler in this, he's not at the forefront of the conversation that fans are having. Mm-hmm. And I think that says something about him still building himself up as a true A+ player.
Well, we do have to talk about this. I know you probably saw some chatter about this online.
I did.
Did you see this?
I did, yeah.
And great matches. Great matches from AEW. I just talked about two of them that I thought were fantastic. And I thought they ended with a great angle as well. I thought the breakup of the Inner Circle was well overdue. It's an angle that's been going on for like 5 months now, right? So overdue, maybe. So we'll get to it. And we'll get to everything with NXT, and we'll get to your comments and different things that you guys want to see. We'll also talk the Hall of Fame tonight, so plenty to go. So if you're with us this far in, you can be with us a little bit longer. During a match where Ethan Page debuts against a member of American Nightmare, they're out there in the ring, and I'll go with, I want to make sure I follow this correctly because it seemed like it was going so fast that people were freaking out about this online. I want to talk about this match here between Ethan Page and Lee Johnson, QT Marshall in his corner. They're in the ring. They're going at it left and right, and they're having themselves one hell of a match. And QT Marshall, who turned on the American Nightmare group, is not helping Ethan Page or not getting Ethan Page off Lee Johnson of the American Nightmare group as he's getting beat up after the match. Ethan Page wins. This is his debut. This is him debuting from Impact Wrestling after months of anticipation that he would be there. And here's the thing. You didn't hear a clear audio compression of the commentary during this match if you watched on TNT. What you heard, oddly, because the thing is the way the audio came in, it took you like a minute or at least a minute to figure out something was wrong because you heard music and it was music with like a crowd reaction. So I have it where I had a tab open with legal streams, by the way. I had legal streams. Illegal, not illegal. I said legal. Streaming through Xfinity. That's right. I used two different devices. So I had one laptop up with Xfinity, another one up with Xfinity. And I was hearing two different things, and I was like, oh, do I have my headphones on wrong? Like, this is weird. And I had to like turn the other computer down because I was thinking maybe it was like a commercial or something from NXT. And I was like, that's a basketball game. And then I go on Twitter and I post on Twitter, is anyone else hearing a basketball game? This is like a minute into this. And then I just see the tweet tracker I have that's showing just the trend, right? Everyone's saying they're yelling defense, defense. And it was, I can't remember what game it was because you couldn't hear the commentary of the basketball game. Could you imagine if you heard the commentary of the basketball game? You just heard like the crowd and like the things you would hear at a basketball game, like the music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was so weird. And this went on through a commercial break. Even when I went to break after this, they had like a segment with Adam Page in the Dark Order, and they were trying to get on his lawnmower that he bought with money he won from Matt Hardy. And they had like a satellite issue. So then I was worried. I was like, they have a real problem here. This could be like a really big satellite problem. Yeah. So I want to see what other fans thought of that.
And like the comment we just got said there, Tony Khan actually did address this directly on Twitter and said that he promised that it was fixed.
Jay Feliciano, Jay Cabrera, who joined us on our episode yesterday. You guys want to hear some insight? Really go check out that episode. If you haven't seen it, it's up now on our YouTube, on our Twitch, and in our podcast feed. Jay was and still is involved in the wrestling industry, but he was a live event producer for WWE. So he kind of gave us an insight into what it is like to work in WWE as they work their way up to WrestleMania. He worked on house shows, saw these performers develop these matches. So obviously this year is a lot more challenging and different. So if you want an insight into that, Jay has a very intimate knowledge of what that's like and kind of how the crew operates this time of year. It's a very, very cool interview. And we kind of run down all the big topics building to WWE's big debut on Peacock. So definitely go check that out. Thank you for the comment, Jay. He says this was likely an audio feed issue on Turner's end. The feed was split from Atlanta's command center, I assume. And so then you're dealing with satellite feeds then. So that's definitely, it seems like it was out of their hands because it was definitely like something else getting in.
And who knows when they actually realized it was happening because
I would assume, it might be hard on AEW's side to even know when that issue happened.
That's what I'm saying.
So they may have had to know that from either from the control center
Twitter.
in Atlanta, or the worst would be, we don't know yet. The worst would be if AEW found this out through social media. If they found it out through social media, they didn't have what they call the hard feed, what's actually going out with no delay. I doubt that. I think they kind of knew as quickly as they could, but it may have been something out of their control until somebody in Atlanta took care of it. Other people saying, oh, QT turned heel. Here's the thing, Gabriel Perez. Yes, QT did turn heel in this segment because Dustin Rhodes came out to save the day. Nobody cared because they were distracted by basketball audio being typed into the show. Yep. You're telling me what I already know. We're not talking about, because guess what? Fans weren't talking about it. And this isn't like a shot at AEW. This is just like really bad luck now, guys. This is like the worst time to have this happen 4 days removed from the biggest production blunder of the wrestling year, this dud that came after this awesome, brilliant, brutal, violent, wonderful match that no one remembers because they just remember sparklers, So, and I'm not doing it to make a shot. It's just unfortunate and not fair to them. Stephen Chambers saying, well, that killed the Aldis rumor, MJF joining FTR and Spears. Yes, I pitched last week that Nick Aldis should be the guy who joins this proverbial group that was coming together with Shawn Spears and FTR and AEW. So a bad week production-wise, though, for AEW. Moving along. Cody Rhodes was successful in action here, and post-match, he has Pentagon going off on him, and Pentagon having the English-Spanish announcer translate for him. And I thought this was interesting, the way he would do a part of a promo, and then he would go to the translator to translate for him. I thought this was actually pretty neat. And then tells Cody, your arm isn't going to be good enough to hold your unborn daughter. And then they have a pull apart, break apart. So Pentagon versus Cody, that could be a hell of a match, right? Right, buddy?
Could be. You're right. It could be. It doesn't necessarily seem to me that it would be like, at least one of their best ever.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like kind of out of the blue. Do you agree?
I don't know if it's out of the blue because I mean they had interactions in this Face the Revolution match, and he kind of got injured in the match, and they took him out, and they were kind of central, like they can in the match it starts. I actually think that's pretty cool. Kevin Joseph Chuff saying Cody is trying too hard to be Triple H. I wouldn't say that. Kevin, I'm going to disagree with you.
Can you tell where he's coming from, though? I mean, at least where he's coming from.
In what way?
Just that he's trying to hide the fact that he's an authority figure, you know, even though like everybody knows he is. So it's like, I don't know how to explain it really in detail, but the way that he's acting, it's like, well, you know, he's the real deal, but he's trying to act like he's not the real deal, if that makes sense. He wants to fit in with the gang, but everybody knows that like he's superior, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense.
Here's why I don't buy it. And the reason I don't buy it is for this reason. Cody is loved by AEW fans because he started it. That is the gang. That is the gang. The gang is AEW itself. So, and everyone says, oh, you're a company guy, you're an office guy. I don't think that's the case because AEW is still such a new, game-changing, break-the-mold company. And Cody is the inverse of Triple H in that regard, where he's the opposite of it in that regard, where Triple H is established as a corporate character. That's fine. You know, on camera, he's a corporate character in a good way, in a bad way. He started NXT, people love him there. Same idea. So is he trying to be like Triple H in that regard, where he's like, we're going to start the new pioneering brand of wrestling, right? That is pure wrestling. Like Triple H did that. I can see that comparison. And Triple H has done family stuff, but that isn't fair because Triple H has been in wrestling longer. I just don't buy the comparison. And they're trying to make this personal in its own way. I liked the promo. I thought it was unique. Also, outside of the ending of the show, I thought this was the best promo on the show. That wasn't the end of issues, though. I thought this was good. This can go some nice places. They had Sting on the show, and Sting remarked about how tough it was for him and Darby Allin in a really good cinematic street fight. One of the better cinematic matches I've seen since that became a genre thing in wrestling in the pandemic. And he gets interrupted by Lance Archer. But this is kind of a meh segment. If you're going to start a brand new feud for Sting, it should be exciting and compelling and electric. I didn't feel the spark between Lance Archer and Sting here. And it was just kind of like he interrupted him. Oh, is this your time? I'm interrupting you. Sorry. So I get what they're going for, but it didn't leap off the page. It didn't feel like a super compelling thing. Has there ever been a feud that you can recall, John, that started and you're like, this should be bigger than it is, but it certainly isn't? Because like on paper, if I told you Sting versus Lance Archer, you'd be like, cool. But from what I saw tonight, I was like, I don't know. You got to get me into this.
I have to say that I truly believe they have not introduced him and treated him the way that they should have. And what I mean by that is he doesn't seem like a big deal anymore. He seems like just a mid-card talent that a casual wrestler or a casual fan that's just tuning in that's maybe like a little younger than me isn't going to realize how big of a guy this really is, in a sense, if you know what I'm saying. Because, like, and we've heard this before numerous times in WWE, this has happened with them when they've brought somebody in and all of a sudden it's like they don't know what to do with them. Typically, when they're moving from NXT to the main roster. What I'm saying is AEW kind of did the same thing here and kind of screwed up. What do you think?
A little bit, but I also think Sting being in AEW as an icon, as a certified Hall of Famer, all the things you know that are established about him. If you're going to do sporadic things, you got to do a new pairing with him. It was new to see him paired with Darby. I thought that was neat. It was new to see him in action against Cage and Ricky Starks. And they get the rub from that, even if he won, right? But I definitely see it in a different way if they're going in a singles route against him and Archer. So then how is Jake the Snake, Lance Archer's manager, going to play a role? So it isn't completely a done deal to me, but this isn't a strong start. It just kind of felt like a meh thing. And it should feel electric from the get-go. Anything
I got to tell you, Kevin, it definitely appears that people in the chat are agreeing with you, at least with this, because all these comments I've been seeing so far have been just about how the show was just kind of subpar meh tonight, and that's kind of the vibe you've been giving off so far. So
it wasn't all bad, but it was so inconsistent where this was really good, this was very bad, and this was really good. There wasn't like a through line through the show. There is a nice thing about AEW where, in comparison to other brands, NXT feels like the same show from beginning to end with a couple of other things peppered in. Whereas AEW has openly said, we want to be all things to wrestling fans. We want fast-paced cruiserweight matches. We want big Haas matches. We want crazy hardcore things. We want goofy side characters. You know, they want to be a cafeteria, you know, where you go and you pick what you
correct me if I'm wrong, but looking at their Twitter before the show, I believe everything that happened on the show tonight was advertised beforehand. They had
except the ending, which was a big swerve. So,
the segment itself was still advertised as what I
don't mind that. I don't mind that, but I'm just saying, like, vibe-wise, it flew all over the place. And this is one of those nights where it just didn't work out for AEW to do that because some things didn't stay up. It's one thing if you're passing the ball around, but if somebody drops the ball and then you got to pick it up and then you're running with it and then you hand it off to somebody else and they drop the ball in another segment, that happened a couple times. Like, literally, the audio dropped out. You know what I mean? Like, that's an issue. And they were rolling with that. This brings me into this. The AEW women's division continues to prosper, I think. They have a strong division. They have some new names. I think Maki Ito is a fun name. They presented a 6-man tag match based off the outcome of the tournament final this past Sunday, where Akira Shida and Mizunami were attacked. Mizunami and Akira tagged with Thunder Rosa against a newly slightly formed faction of sorts that included Maki Ito from Japan, this maniacal woman who sings when she comes to the ring. That was the best part of this match. She sang her entrance, and they stopped playing the music, and she kept singing her entrance song. Very ridiculous. She's a very, very ridiculous character, and she's probably a better character than she is a wrestler, and that's not a shot at her wrestling. She's out there with Britt Baker and Nyla Rose. Okay. And then Britt Baker has Reba, who is supposed to be injured, who has a crutch, but she's not injured. And they have Vicky Guerrero, and they have the 2 side characters. So it's almost 5-on-3. And both the side characters have to get their stuff in. And Vicky Guerrero has to grab someone's leg, and they have to tease doing a crutch shot. And they don't do a crutch shot. And by the match ending, it's Thunder Rosa being attacked. Thunder Rosa gets the win, but it didn't matter because quickly she's attacked with a crutch. And quickly they're doing this, and they're doing a lock job, but they're also rubbing the crutch in her face. There was a bunch of issues with Maki Ito. She did not have a great night. There was some transitions she did and moves that didn't look thorough. This is definitely one of the lower ranking AEW women's matches I've seen. There was just too much going on, too little time to make it all work, cramming everything on top of each other, too much stuff outside the ring that didn't complement the match. I knew what they were going for. Execution just felt kind of clunky. Talented people in there, but not the best night for everyone involved. And Thunder Rosa deserves more. She's been a big star for them. They should see that. Also, you have the challenge of what is this doing for Akira Shida, your champion? She's lost in this mixture of people. But I could see them trying to say, like, hey, look at this cast of them when we're bringing up at the time. But they've had issues with that before. One of the worst things that AEW did was the Nightmare Collective, this failed faction that was supposed to be a group of women with maybe a couple of complementing male characters. Didn't work. And in this case, this didn't work either. This was the worst part of the show. Even worse than the audio issues was this match. And I don't want to say that. I take no pleasure in saying these things. But when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay? So the audio problem, then this match. All right? But we got to get to the main event angle. I don't think I'm skipping over any matches here. I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything because they cram a lot. Oh, wait, I do have to talk about this. Kenny Omega cut a promo where he said it was a joke what happened with the dud, that he built the ring and had the mistake, and he cuts off what was supposed to be Christian Cage's time. He cuts it off. They advertised Christian Cage, but he cuts it off. And he gets interrupted by Eddie Kingston, who's out there on his own. He gets attacked by the Good Brothers behind Omega, and they're joking, and then they're attacking Eddie, and they're saying, Eddie, watch out, there's a countdown. The countdown's coming. So they're almost making fun of themselves. I thought this was pretty entertaining. And he told Don Callis to 69 me, so he could get on top of him to protect him from an explosion that wasn't about to happen. So they did have good fun making fun of themselves, okay? But they still claimed it was Kenny Omega who set up a fake explosion at the end of the show that wasn't a real explosion. So they put the heat on Kenny, and I don't mind that.
But the problem with this is the fact that if you actually watch the show, he still acted like he was legitimately hurt from this fake explosion. So you can't
part of this, Eddie couldn't see the explosion. He couldn't even know that it didn't work, you know? And by the time he could, it was just somebody in the ring telling him explosion didn't work. I don't know that.
But now you know, and they're basically trying to revert back and say, look, we know it failed, we know it didn't actually happen. So now they need to. Well, what about him acting like he was actually hurt?
They got to write themselves out of a hole.
Yeah,
they have to write. You know what I mean? But you know that, is that on them? Is that on the performers? It's on the explosion not working, and they have to work around it. So I get what they were going for. They try to be creative. I feel like it's done now. They did an angle to goof on the whole thing and like kayfabe it onto Kenny. But in reality, we're making fun of ourselves and what happened. I'm okay with that because they're like, it's fine. You know, like they're acknowledging it. If they didn't do anything about it, like, or at least tried to like only a little bit talk about it, they did 2 different segments to play it in. Jon Moxley hits the ring. He's trying to save the day. Out comes Christian Cage, who's a ring clears. He gets the belt. So teasing Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega. So does this mean, Moxley and Kingston get to go take on the Good Brothers on Impact? That'd be pretty cool. 2 different directions, both of them interesting. What would you think of a Christian Cage, Kenny Omega match? That's a really interesting match and a fresh one at that.
I like to address this first by reading a comment that was posted, and this was like 10 minutes ago, but I noticed it, and I want to say, the comment said that, are they going to give this man a championship match before he ever has any kind of physicality or match in AEW? Here's my question for you. Are they actually going to do this? Are they actually elevating him to the main event of their show after
Christian Cage?
Yes, after this dude was quickly eliminated from the Royal Rumble looking like almost like a joke.
I don't know if he looked like a joke. I wouldn't say he looked like a joke.
Okay, but he didn't look strong is what I'm saying. And now
I thought he looked strong. I thought he looked strong. But here's the thing. Christian's a former world champion. This isn't like a joke guy coming over. This isn't like a nobody coming over. This guy's one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Former world champion, highly influential. And the idea is he's going to do things he could do that he never got to do. There is an appeal in that. And there's a fresh appeal in that. You already like him because you've watched him for years. Now watch him do what you really wanted to see him do. So that is interesting. Do I think he gets the title shot right away? Oh, hell no. I think there'll be some matches, significant ones, with other guys that are fairly established or at least a little bit more familiar week to week on AEW to get in there. I don't think he'll get it right away.
But do you think, what I'm asking is, who do you think will be his first 1 or 2 kind of?
It'll be interesting. The thing is, you're asking, so that's a good question, And I think they don't have to jump into it right away and tell you he's going to have a match. Maybe we find out in the next week or so on socials that he's going to have a match. His debut is going to be next week
against the Big Show.
I don't think it'll be against the Big Show. I think it could be against like a lower card guy that you just see week to week, maybe on AEW Dark. Maybe a Joey Janela, somebody like
Orange
that would
Cassidy.
Him and Orange Cassidy. They did tease something interesting. I know I've told you about how I'm kind of played out on the idea of Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor versus Miro and Kip Sabian. They did announce a match, though. I thought it was interesting. It brought up the video game stuff. But what do you think of this angle? There will be arcade boxes around the ring as Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy cut a promo inside of an arcade in which Orange Cassidy was sitting at one of those like driving racing games. He didn't even have a quarter in. I thought that was interesting. He was just like sitting there. And Chuck Taylor goes, dude, you didn't even put a quarter in. And he still puts the gear in. Like he's parking the car. He parks the car and he gets up and he cuts his promo. He's like, we're going to have a match and we're going to bash your head into arcade boxes. I was like, oh, okay, this is goofy. And then Orange Cassidy takes his glasses off and says his 2 lines, and we're going to break you. I was like, all right, I'm intrigued. I also thought that match at the pay-per-view was way better than I thought it was. Let's jump to the main event. The main event was an angle. This is the Inner Circle War Circle. Okay. And this segment was interrupted by Sammy Guevara, who left the group over nearly a month ago. And he hit a camera backstage in the Inner Circle's locker room that revealed that MJF and the other members of the Inner Circle were going to turn on Chris Jericho and establish him as a new leader. Now, John, I know you didn't watch AEW, right?
Correct.
So maybe I'm telling you some of this. I don't know. Do you know what happened after that?
I have absolutely no idea what happened.
Okay, so what do you think of that? MJF gets the other members to turn on him. That would be interesting, right?
Yes.
That would be interesting. But here's what actually happened. A double swerve on top of a swerve, okay? All right? Don't give me one shot, make it a double, okay? Because it then turns into Chris Jericho figures this out, like, what's going on here? Hits the ring. Big change up. Lights are out. What happens here? Tully Blanchard, Shawn Spears, FTR. You got your new 4 horsemen right there. They lay out the inner circle. Chris Jericho, bloodied, reaching for his baseball bat, and they step on it. Oh, no, 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 no. And this gang of elite thugs power bombs him through a table off stage. Very brutal. Bloodied legend. All right, so they've given you Chris Jericho, and now they've baby-faced him. I'm on board with this because I think it's due time. He's been there over a year as a heel. A fresh take for Chris Jericho, who's a character that constantly evolves. I'm okay with that. And he has motivation to go solo. Screw you guys. I'm Chris Jericho. I brought you guys up, and you were going to turn on me, and this little shit who talks crap to every MJF is now with a new group of guys, so he already screwed you, so you guys are off on your own. I'm on my own. Chris Jericho solo, fresh take on things. Because I think Inner Circle had ran its course. It was too many people walking in different directions.
I'm still lost here. So what was MJF's role in this? What did he do?
He is the new member. He is like kind of like the new figurehead of a group that involves FTR, the tag team, Tully Blanchard was their manager, and Shawn Spears.
So did he turn on the Inner Circle then?
He turned on the Inner Circle, who were going to turn on Chris Jericho in one segment. So it felt like it was borderline a little bit too much, but it was just right. It was like a good beer. You ever get a good beer where they pour it and it's like just over the rim and they can scrape it off? It was just right there. Unlike other things that kind of like fell apart. I thought this was great. Quite the ending. It was something that they definitely needed on the show, but too many issues. One dud of a match. The audio problem was really annoying because it went through a commercial and they had it into the next match. So I'm going to give a 6.8 to this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. Give me your rating. Give me your rating. If you're with us on the podcast side of things, hit us up on Twitter. You can follow John at John R. Clark. You can follow me at KevCom. Of course, hit up WrestleZone. Let us know your rating for this week's AEW Dynamite. Want to know what people are thinking of it here. Kyle saying, I don't think the Inner Circle is done, man. Just a different take. I would say they're done to a degree, or done as you know them. You know, they could still be together in some form or another. But are you interested in a group that's just Pride and Powerful and Jake Hager, who we're going to turn on Chris Jericho, apparently?
No.
I don't know if you're into that. And it's definitely an interesting thing. Kyle liked this week's episode. He gives it a 10 out of 10. Gabriel texting in, he gives it a 7 out of 10, mainly for the audio interruption there. I didn't the Sammy Guevara part I did not skip. I mentioned that he came out and introduced this footage. Also his new graphics. I thought that was kind of neat. He needs to be on his own. Sammy Guevara absolutely needs to be on his own. And you can do a Sammy Guevara Chris Jericho match on this as well. So there's a lot of different directions they can go. The directions they can go are pretty exciting here. So I'm bored. So Jay Feliciano saying Christian to the Inner Circle confirmed. I don't think that's the case. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with this here. Daniel saying, I always saw Chris Jericho as a solo wrestler, where he definitely started in AEW as a solo wrestler and then developed this group around himself. Laura the Rock texting and saying they can't use the Horseman name. Well, Arn Anderson, who's in AEW, working as a producer and a manager for Cody, has reportedly tried to get the trademark on the name Four Horsemen, which may have lapsed over on the WWE side. We don't know if he actually has that, but he said publicly he's tried to get it, or at least trademark that. So there's a possibility that AEW could get the Four Horsemen name in the future. So we'll see where it is. But overall, a 6.8 out of 10. Let me know your rating. If you're listening on demand, hit us up. Other people texting in. Mr. James Espanto Fernando Taguay says AEW was a 6 for me. AEW doesn't get any passes. He's not handing out any more hall passes for them. So if we talked about AEW, that means we talk about NXT. And NXT had hell of an announcement this week. They open up with giant announcements. What are those announcements? Because we thought we could get possibly two. We were getting two announcements. All right.
I mean, we kind of got three today, if we're being honest. So let's go into the two that were confirmed by William Regal. The first was the news of NXT Takeover coming up. It'll be a 2-night event in April. It'll be Wednesday and Thursday before WrestleMania. What do you think of the name of this thing? The name of this takeover? What do you think?
Stand and Deliver. That is something. That is quite.
Is one night stand and one night deliver?
They're gonna stand on Wednesday and they're gonna deliver on Thursday. Yeah.
Regardless,
I like the idea of a tandem name. That it's two words. That makes sense for the 2-night thing too.
Regardless, that was a pretty big announcement. That was the first one. Nothing as far as specifics for the show announced, as far as location, tickets, matches, anything like that. We don't know yet.
I assume they do it in Orlando at the Capitol Wrestling Center.
That's what I'm assuming too, but you never know. And then the second announcement was he was introducing NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, which were automatically gifted to Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai for winning the Dusty Cup. So they were awarded those championships. Fans have kind of fought more for NXT representation on the main roster, and the women's tag team would have been an opportunity to do so. But this, I think this will divide even more, because basically this is going to make the women no longer need to be on the main roster because they have their own tag championships. So the women's tag championships will become exclusive to Raw and SmackDown now. I think that'll be interesting.
Maybe they could have them float down there from time to time if they wanted to. But this would definitely make it less. It would mean less. Maybe they do that around Survivor Series time if they want to do the cross.
Yes, and I think NXT will treat the championships a lot better than the main roster. What do you think?
What about this angle? So they do the presentation. They say 2 nights of Takeover. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. Big week. That week of WrestleMania is going to be insane. That's every day of wrestling from WWE for 8 days in a row. So that's a marathon if you watch everything, and we have to cover everything. So
well, technically, the Hall of Fame will not actually have any wrestling, I wouldn't think.
But it's 8 days of WWE.
8 days of live content, yeah.
Live front run content. So
possibly more.
Think of the production staff. Like what the production staff is going to go through that week. That's crazy.
Think of you.
Oh God, we're gonna have to figure something out.
You'll be on your own for most of it.
Maybe no. The girlfriends. I'm gonna have to talk to the girlfriend. There's some wives married to people at WrestleZone. We're gonna have to figure this out. So maybe someone else is covering the Hall of Fame
for Ladies Month.
Yeah, for the people who watch our streams, maybe we just do a watch along of the Hall of Fame. I think that would be fun if we just did a watch along.
Yeah,
that is an event I just want to enjoy too. So we'll get into the Hall of Fame before we're done tonight. But what do you think of that? Just granting people titles, because this is based off Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez get these belts based off they won the Dusty Cup. They got screwed over by the WWE Women's Champions, Jax and Baszler, right?
Yeah.
And they get granted these titles and then immediately heel off on the entire women's roster that's at ringside. And we get a tag team. We get a tag team match an hour later with Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. And I know how that ended.
Yes.
What do you think of that match? Tell me about this big match, because you get a title match like an hour later. I thought that was compelling television. If they hooked you in the first 10 minutes, they made you want to stay tuned for that match later on in the night, and you knew you were already getting a Balor versus Cole match.
Firstly, the match itself was A quality. It was a very good match. This was actually better than their Dusty Classic final match. The title change was a bit shocking, but also not surprising. And because we'll get into a little later what the build-up is, but I even was tweeting before the match even started. I said they need to drop these belts because Raquel Gonzalez is on the bigger and better things. And that is exactly what happened. So I think they did this because it made sense to award them the championship, because look, I know they could have just said it was vacant and the winner would be the first champions, but they won the Dusty Cup. They deserve to be known as the first champion. So I think that's why they did that. But what do you think about the title change already?
Could be a little bit too hot shotty. I don't know what favors that did for Dakota Kai, because immediately they just put something aside with her and
she'll be forgotten. Yeah,
there was a lot. But I mean, there was people talking about Raquel Gonzalez going off on her own for a while, like heading into this tournament, and that there's a lot of big things set for her. And there was a lot there, a lot for the women tonight on NXT in general.
The women made up over half of the show tonight,
and they kicked ass in every segment. I didn't see any bad and I'm just talking about the instant response. I haven't seen all of NXT. I saw chunks and pieces of it that I could see in commercial breaks and stuff like that. And we'll talk about that amazing main event with Finn Balor and Adam Cole. I thought that was a very, very good main event. Probably the best match that I saw responses to online all night.
While we're talking about the women, I want to talk about this NXT Women's Championship match between Toni Storm and Io Shirai. I mean, simply put, as far as female talent goes, I would put these two probably in the top at least 10, maybe even 5 of women's wrestlers today based off of skill. Io is getting better and better every time. Her promos are getting better, mostly because her English is improving very well, a lot better than Asuka and Kairi Sane's is. No offense to them, but hers is just better. They were back and forth all match. It was a very good, high-hitting and high-flying match. And in the end, Io Shirai won by submission.
Man, Toni has not had the good row of it here since
we thought it was her time. We thought it was her time.
Absolutely. And Toni Storm she's having these great matches since she came over to Florida from the UK division. But she just isn't winning these big matches. And how many shots has she had at Io now? At least 1 or 2, right?
2. This is 2.
So, I mean, she's going to be put aside for a while here, and it looks like we're getting Raquel Gonzalez versus Io Shirai at this takeover.
What I was going to say is, we've said this 3 times now, but I think this is the lucky third time's a charm. I think we can both agree that this is Raquel's time and she's going to win the championship. What do you think?
Scotty George texting in about time. Raquel, she will beat Io. Io's had the belt since June. I've heard no one's doubting Io Shirai's stature. She wins this match in strong form. She comes off looking great. But you are a fan who has less patience than I do. And you are a newer fan. You are a newer fan where it's just like, throw them in the meat grinder. And once they're done with the grinder, take the belt off them. And you don't want to see people hold the belt a long time.
I'm okay with Balor right now, and he's still a champion.
Sure, but you don't want to see people hold the belts a long time. So you want the belt off Io Shirai.
I do.
You want the belt off Io Shirai. This is a way to do it. Other people saying put the belt on Raquel here. I agree. Raquel's a monster. She doesn't look like any other woman that you have in WWE, let alone AEW too. She has a very, very different look.
Shayna Baszler.
Yes, Shayna Baszler has a physically intimidating look, but I mean, also Raquel is the tallest woman I've ever seen WWE present this way. I get vibes of China with a more fluid athleticism is the best way of describing.
Vibes of Karma.
Yes, vibes of Karma. Yes, very good comparison there. And also she's coming into her own with the promos, also mixing in English and Spanish. When she started calling people Chiquita, I thought that was like, that's different. That's not a nice thing to call somebody. And she's getting her own flavor in the things she was doing. I thought she was bound for this. Surprised they went with it so quickly, just 50 minutes after she lost the tag titles and only had them for 45 minutes. And that was sort of a consolation prize. Here's these new titles you get as a consolation prize. You're going to lose them later. But a strong night overall for the women on NXT. Tell me about Xylee, because I got to say, she has the best new entrance in all of wrestling. This mysterious cloaked emperor character that oversees her, the Asian occult vibes. She comes down to the ring with her fighting performance, and then gets in the ring and wrecks Caden Carter after she destroyed Caden's tag team partner Casey Catanzaro. Things go from there.
This was a pretty entertaining angle, but I wouldn't say it was anything special compared to what the rest of the women have been doing and what Xia herself has been doing in recent weeks. Her entrance is clearly the best part of this whole, I guess you could say, whole act right now. She needs competitors that can make her look like she's on a higher level than what they are making it seem like. She's slowly building to that point, and I get you're okay with the whole slow build as long as it pays off. But for me, it's almost like do they even know where they're going with this? Because what I think about is, well, when they brought in Retribution, they had no idea what they were going to do. With Zaya, I feel like they know where they're going, but where do you think they know where they're going?
Yes. Yes, I think they know where they're going. I think Zaya gets to face she gets the spring program. She gets the late spring title program.
Really?
And I do think that Casey got to attack her with a crutch tonight where she's injured, right? But Casey and Caden, in some form or another, are going to be fed to the monster, the growing monster that is Xylee. And the reveal of whoever her manager or minister of darkness that you see there at ringside, whoever that person is, that'll be there. She looks different. She feels like a very mysterious and dark character, which NXT needs with their women. They need a dark, intimidating character like her. And they're going to get it, and she's going to be the female carrying cross come the summer. The summer she will rise. This will be the summer of Xylee. I'm saying it right now. I think she will have a very, very big 2021.
Let's see. That was pretty much it for the women tonight, although we did get a little teaser of the future of the tag team championships. It appears that Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell want to be next in line for Candice or not for Candice, but for Shotzi and Ember. And I think that does make sense, and that's probably what will happen. What do you think about the possibility of that match at TakeOver?
I mean, it's starting to say like, hey, we're not going to keep these belts like hot potatoes, even though we did it the first night. It's like, hey, we're already setting up another challenger. So that does make the titles look like something people want, and Candice has never won a title in NXT, as far as I know, right?
No.
And she's been there a long time, and she came into NXT with probably the most hype of any woman that I know, and was very much the indie standout, and has had shots at the women's title, but has never won it. This is a way for Candice, as an established veteran, to really raise the stock of somebody. I think it's much better to be a tag team champion first than a singles champion. She would bring Indy Hartwell up with her, who's much less experienced than she is.
Only 23 years old.
23 years old, but Candice has been wrestling for like over a decade and also wrestling with some of the best people in the world. I think this is great for Candice if she can win this belt, but what favors does that do for Shotzi and Ember Moon? Ember didn't leave Raw to come to NXT and not get anything, but she wins these brand new titles. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm not oversold on it. I'm more interested in what Zaya is going to do. I'm more interested in the Raquel Io Shirai match. But talk about that. That's 3 major programs with the women that we could talk about right there that we just covered. Blowing AEW out of the water in terms of the women's division. Like, it's not even funny.
Yeah,
even funny. Like, if they did a week where they said it was NXT and it's only the women, I don't think anyone would be like, yeah, I want that. I think plenty fans that watched week to week, and they said this is just going to be a night of just the NXT women's division. I think people would be totally cool with that, and would be probably even more amped up than they normally would.
What I was going to say is if they did, because it's International Women's Month, if they said, well, each show is going to do only women. Well, I think NXT
each show of WWE. You mean?
No, like NXT and AEW both on Wednesday night did that. The ratings would be like...
It would be interesting. It would certainly be interesting. It is International Women's Month. Happy to all of our female fans that are checking out there. I know we have you guys out there. Love your contributions to the fandom of everything here. And I appreciate your support. I know you see a lot of dudes here on screen, but we've had some friends on there. Shout out to Rest Friends, Iridium Fiero and Teddy. I hope they're doing well. I know they're ramping up, doing some great content in the road to WrestleMania. Also, thank you to the thousands of you that downloaded our podcast this week. A lot of people downloaded the podcast this week coming off AEW Revolution and ramping up to WrestleMania too. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys.
Let's talk about the main event.
Let's get right into it.
Crazy main event between Finn Balor and Adam Cole
for the title
for the NXT Championship. This was as good as it was advertised. Hard hits, back and forth, a lot of close finishes. There was a couple points of the match where you thought that Adam Cole was legitimately going to get this belt back.
When he hit that Panama Sunrise for the second time, flipping pile driver, I was like, you're not getting up from that. You're not getting up from that. This is over. Like, he's going to win the belt. He's going to win it on TV. Oh my God, 2 times in a month. WWE's going to change like their world titles proverbially on television. What are they doing? And he kicked out. And I was like,
And And then, so Finn Balor wins. Kyle O'Reilly did interfere a little bit at the end. It was a distraction on Adam Cole, nothing physical or anything like that. But this was the true ending of the Undisputed Era. It was the official breakup end of the group. We're clearly going to get O'Reilly and Cole at TakeOver, it looks like, and we can confidently say that because at the very, very, very end of the show, Karrion Kross side by side with Finn Balor, who looks at him and says, "I knew you'd come. What took you so long?"
This was shot really well. This was shot really
You
well
knew
because
somebody was there.
They had a the indifference where you saw some things in AEW where they were trying to do a lot of things that would kind of like shift out of each other, and in that shift, something else takes its place, right? Almost like a good dance troupe, right?
Yes.
Where somebody takes the center stage. In this way, O'Reilly and Cole fought off into the back, and they swing the camera back to Balor center ring, and they're doing a wide shot, but it's at a 90-degree angle, so you can see the logo on the side screens and everything. And he knows. Once he looked left, I was like, that is so perfect. He knew the camera was on him. He didn't have to look at the camera. He knew the camera was on him. It's one of those things that they can only do without that many fans there. It was Capitol Wrestling Center. You can tell the fans there they can dull the sound down a little bit and bring out what they want.
You even the way when you were watching it live, like the fans didn't really even react, like they knew he was.
Or change the sound, and you don't know. And that's not something you could do if you were in a full arena. So it's one of those like clever, fun things you can only do with a quote unquote controlled set. It's a controlled set.
Well, what do you think? What do you think about the phrase? Because I think that perfectly summarized it when he looked at him and said, "What took you so long?
What took you so long?" And I thought that was really cool because it wasn't just like I'm Karrion Kross, I'm this big monster that's been here that had the title and had to drop because of an injury, and now I'm going to wreck you.
He's never lost.
They didn't do the I'm going to attack you from behind thing. All right. And I thought that was good because you don't have to. You don't have to do that right away because you just saw it. You just saw Kyle O'Reilly get a revenge, and then you're going to start something. It would have been just too much. You know, I made that comparison of like a good segment that has stuff that's sort of overflowing, but you don't want to go over the brim. You want to be able to shave that foam off that cold beer. This was another one where the brim went right up, and they threw that line right in the Corona, and it fizzled, and you just sip up the overflow. None of it gets away from you. And you're excited for another beer. I'm excited for another beer of NXT. This is the match that fans have wanted. NXT listened to the fans. This is the one they've been talking about since Finn Balor came to NXT, since Karrion Kross debuted. When he debuted, immediately people were saying Finn Balor and Karrion Kross.
Hot take, and I'm gonna be asked similar to how you asked me who was gonna win the Royal Rumble. I'm gonna be asking you this question in the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, your initial thought tonight: will Finn Balor be the demon at TakeOver?
I don't know. I mean, I think
yes or no. Right now, what do you think?
I don't. Yes, let's say yes. Okay, I'll say yes. Maybe I'll change my answer. Right?
That's fine. You can change your answer.
Yeah, sure. I say yes if they go that route.
I think they should.
But the Balor we got tonight was just him talking in realistic terms. The demon is these like play terms, you know, like he's gonna say those things.
And I don't think they want the demon to lose clean either, because I think Balor will lose.
Because maybe you save that for another match. You know, maybe they save that for another match. I don't think they need it. You know, I don't think they need him to put on makeup to have a fun match. But I do like that he doesn't do it all the time. That if he's gonna go Finn Balor, the Demon King, right? They only do that now and then, and when he does, it means something. So I'm okay with that. And this is a time when it can mean something. This is Karrion Kross, fully back in form, had a fun match with Santos Escobar. We did not touch on the Santos Escobar stuff tonight. Legado del Fantasma were in action tonight against GYV.
I think the bigger news regarding that is the fact that Jordan Devlin has not been cleared to return to the United States. So I think at TakeOver, we're also going to get the Cruiserweight Unification real title match between Devlin and Escobar.
Yeah, Jordan was stuck over in Ireland. There were some...
legitimately.
There were some strong Me Too. There were some strong accusations against him and his conduct outside of the ring. Apparently, those things have been cleared in some way or another. I don't know how, but he was stuck with the NXT UK division. He's been active there a little bit, and now comes over back from Ireland to the United States. He won this title at a bad time, you know, with everything going on. But I do think Santos has done a good job with it, despite getting wrecked by Karrion Kross. He was just in the Karrion Kross holding pattern until we could get here. And here we are. And other people remarking about different things here with AEW, saying they want to give it a 9, dog. They're going to give this show a 9. So here we go. It's the 1 to 10.
One more thing we got to talk about before the rating. This involves some news that was released today that has an impact possibly on NXT.
Okay.
The NHL has reached an exclusive streaming rights agreement with ESPN for next year. It is a 7-year agreement that NHL has reached with ESPN.
You are revealing this news to me. I don't know how I missed this.
Oh, you missed this. Well, yeah. The wrestling world has been talking about this all day because this could possibly affect NXT leaving Wednesdays due to NHL on USA not being a thing next year. It's going to be ESPN. It's been a 7-year deal worth like a couple billion. Or
is it all of the games?
It is not all of the games, but it is including Wednesday night games and some Stanley Cup games.
Okay, well, so they'll get the playoffs though too.
Yes. But initially, your thoughts? Do you think maybe NXT won't be moving after all?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I know everyone thinks it was a done deal, and it's certainly something we've been hearing about in the past couple of weeks. And then it would line up with the news that we had heard a few months ago that about a month and a half ago that NBC Universal was going to eliminate its sports channel, and they have a USA Network. They have a deal with WWE. They also have the Peacock deal, so that they would just say like NXT is either going to go over to Peacock, be on there, or we're going to move it to a different night. Fans said that, but no one at NBC said that. No one at NBC Sports said that I can recall. And WWE executives were asked about this. Their executive Khan, not Tony Khan, was asked about this, and he said, we're confident where they are, and we think USA is really happy with the product as well. And I think if you're WWE and you look at the competition with AEW, if they've held them under a certain viewership window, even though AEW will lead and have more viewers, whatever. Here's the thing about ratings too. I know we talk so much about ratings. We do talk quite a bit about ratings and stuff like that because you fans want us to and you ask us to. So we're not going to ignore them. But I don't think Nielsen ratings are going to mean the thing they'd mean now in a year. You already have some major networks not selling their ad rates based on this. Certainly AEW has more viewers. I think it's because it's the big wrestling promotion that is in WWE on a very accessible channel with some big name stars. It's a great promotion. John, you know it has great stuff on it, even though you love NXT more. You know it's really strong competition, right? It's a strong competitor for WWE. But the fact of the matter is NXT is in this position to keep the cap on whatever proverbial glass ceiling that AEW could break through.
Exactly.
That's the position in. This could change the whole game. This could change the whole game.
I want to read the exact quote here just to be clear. So for you listening, it says, NBC Sports is in the final season of its 10-year deal for around $2 billion. It has had exclusive rights to the league in the United States, but the NHL wants to now have national telecasts. The company is shuttering its NBC Sports network at the end of the year. NBC could still have the option to retain half of the package and pick up the other 3 Stanley Cups if they want. And if they did so, the games would likely be streamed on Peacock and the USA Network on alternative days and times. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't appear that Wednesday night would be in the cards anymore, but USA Network would still be able to play games on their network.
I could still see them moving to a different night, even under those circumstances.
And I do too. So we'll see what happens there. But as far as the show itself goes tonight,
what do you give it, dude? The 1 to 10.
8.
You give it an 8. It's a strong rating for you. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but it looked like a really, really strong show. This Balor Cole match is quite the ending. Good post-match angle. Give me the tease you want. We're like a month out from. Do they have less than a month now to the takeovers?
Yes, it is less than 1 month. They have 3 more NXT episodes, and that's it.
WWE is going to take over your life the week of WrestleMania. One thing they added today was the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame. They've gotten a lot of great news about that today. You will still get to see the Hall of Fame class they announced for last year honored this year, along with the 2021 class, which I thought was pretty cool. And this is interesting. This will be on Tuesday, April 6th. So you'll get Raw before Mania on Monday the 5th. Tuesday, April 6th, you'll get Hall of Fame ceremony, which will be on Peacock. That'll stream on the WWE Network through Peacock.
Yep.
Wednesday, you'll get night 1 of TakeOver. Thursday, night 2 of TakeOver. Friday night, you'll get the SmackDown before WrestleMania. Then you'll get 2 nights of WrestleMania, and then you'll get the Monday Night Raw after.
And who knows what the Tuesday after will bring if there is a move for NXT.
I don't think they're going to do that now. I really don't think they're going to do that now. If they didn't announce it tonight,
they didn't
announce it tonight. So if that happens, I think if it does change, you're not going to see that change for a while of them moving from Wednesdays to Tuesdays. I don't think they want to do that too far out of the high season that is WrestleMania, when wrestling in general gets the bump up in viewership of like an additional 500,000 seasonal viewers, right? But just with what you described in that scenario, we still have hockey as it is, NHL playoffs, different things like that, shake-up season. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. Too many pieces to say where we know they're all going to land. But if WWE is going to make that announcement that they were going to move, I thought that would have been tonight. We got the tag belts. We got a 2-night takeover, which is where I saw things going.
Yep.
They're not tapping out on Wednesdays yet, guys. They're not tapping out on Wednesdays just yet. And I don't even think it's really a tap out. It's just the way things shuffle, and you're dealing with a major media partner that you don't own. Sure. The real people that have to worry about this is Impact. They're the people that would have that Tuesday competition. Impact Wrestling would have that directly from NXT, which is a significantly larger audience, just the way it is. No shot at Impact, just what it is. Speaking of Impact, we will have an Impact post show tomorrow afternoon. The Meatsmen of WrestleZone, Bill Pritchard, Robert DeFelice. We won't have Dominic D'Angelo. We'll have 3 Meatsmen. We'll have 3 of the 4, so that's okay. That'll be tomorrow. And we'll do a preview of Sacrifice this Sunday. Big AEW Impact news. Kenny Omega versus the Impact World Champion Rich Swann coming up in a little bit. So I thought that was quite the match they made this week. But let's get back to this Hall of Fame thing. We get the Hall of Fame news today. I know I'm jumping all over the place with topics here with my ADD. But what do you think of this Hall of Fame news? You're going to get the 2020 class and a 2021 class. Is that too much in one night? Because Hall of Fame sometimes run too long, these ceremonies.
I don't think so, because and we obviously don't know the exact details yet, but it appears that this isn't going to be like anything in person. It's going to be virtual. Probably, maybe they have like a ring, maybe even at the Capital Wrestling Center for all we know. But
I would love that.
Yeah,
that would be perfect.
Just have the superstars sitting around there.
Yeah, that would be nice. The thing is, if it is completely virtual in that, I mean, in the sense of people are at home and they're
like
wearing
a Zoom call.
Yeah, I don't want it to feel like a Zoom call. And maybe for some people it might be that. If some people feel they've been exposed and they're traveling in and different things like that. They have that with wrestlers now. There's some people that were exposed to COVID and they didn't get it, but they have to go off for 2 weeks, right? That could happen here too. And you have people that haven't been around wrestling and are following these protocols and different stuff like that. I don't know, or you have some people that don't want to take that risk, So there's that. So they have quite the 2020 class that didn't get inducted last year because of the pandemic. Batista, the Bella Twins, the New World Order, New World Order, JBL, Justin Bradshaw Layfield, Jushin, Thunder Liger, and the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. That's a hell of a class in its own right. But we get this wonderful news today. I thought this is one of the best announcements I've ever seen WWE do. And when I saw this, it made me tear up. I didn't think I was going to tear up, but when I watched it, I really teared up. I love what they did today. Molly Holly inducted in the Hall of Fame. And one of the more, I was like, whoever produced this and thought of this, genius idea. They do this on WWE's The Bump, which is like their own catch-all panel talk show, which is a very, very fun show. If you don't watch it every week, it's generally a fun show. Even if you don't watch Raw, you're like, I don't want to watch Raw. I just want my podcast. I want NXT. This is a great way to catch up with all those things.
Absolutely.
And Caleb Braxton is interviewing Molly Holly. And they have legends on it all the time. They talk about big moments in their career. And Molly Holly talking about being in the Women's Royal Rumble and all these different incarnations of her character. And I was like, they're really doing a deep dive on her. And once they had Hurricane Helms on screen with her, and they said, we're going to have Hurricane Helms on. I was like, they're both on the show together, and they were both an on-screen pairing. And they were like the superhero couple, right? So immediately I'm like, they got to have them interact. And I found out about this 10 minutes after it happened, but I wanted to watch it happen in real time. So I watched the show and I wanted to see the moment of how they did this. I didn't want to see it in clip form. And I'm so happy I did, because the culmination of this was really nice, because they had Hurricane Helms kind of come on a little bit early within Molly's segment. And they go to Kayla, and it's clear that she was pitched for this in her ears or something like that. And she goes, and Hurricane, I know you have something to share with her. And immediately I was like, he's going to put her in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I'm welling up already. And I knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen, you know? It's like when you know someone in your family is going to propose to someone. It felt like a marriage proposal. It really did. It felt like that type of emotion. I know it's a very marky thing to say. And he gets choked up and he says, it's my esteemed honor to say you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. And they have it side by side. And I think Molly knew. I think she knew that was going to happen, or that someone was going to tell her that. Like, she had a sense of composure, but she was definitely trying to keep it together. I don't think she was. I think she knew beforehand. I don't think she knew who was going to tell her. You know, I got a sense of once she kind of knew it was happening, she knew it was happening. But I don't think she knew who was going to announce her. Well deserved. Molly Holly is one of the greatest in-ring performers for WWE of all time. There's so many people that modeled their career after her. Incredibly influential. A great person, just like an astoundingly great person who's given their lives to like a lot of charitable ventures and just has always done things her way. I really, really like this. She's the first 2021 name that's announced, but obviously the question comes up then, John, who else needs to get in that Hall of Fame? Every year we got to talk about who is a lifer that deserves their lifer reward. Who is it? I have a couple names.
Do you want me to troll, or do you want me to be serious?
No, be serious. We'll troll at the end. Be serious first.
I'd like to see Kane get a nod, because
Kane was a big name. I did a newsflash video with this earlier today, and Kane was the big name that people said. They wanted Kane to go in.
I think because he's basically, done, and they need to wait to do the truly exceptionally big names like Rock, Undertaker, etc. until there's fans further down the road.
Yeah, they can sell tickets. Also, I think those guys would want to be in front of a crowd when they do.
Kane would be a decently big name right now. I think Mark Henry. Oh, he's already in, isn't he?
Mark's in.
Yeah. So Kane would be that one that I would say. And then maybe if you want to go even further, like they always do the celebrity stuff, so you could look for somebody there. But give me some.
I don't think they announced a celebrity for last year, did they? I don't think they announced a celebrity induction.
No,
a celebrity honoree.
I do have one more name I want to say. Jim Johnston, composer.
Oh, Jim Johnston, absolutely. Jim Johnston, longtime music producer for WWE. He produced like all your favorite theme songs that you know. Hasn't been with the company for some time, but absolutely, I think he deserves to go in. And that could be something interesting. Maybe he could play the songs live, which would be kind of neat.
What do you think?
Absolutely. No, totally. Totally agree with that.
I mean, give me some of your names.
Oh, some of my names? Vader. I think Vader's overdue, and Vader got to induct Stan Hansen. Got to bring him into the Hall of Fame, but Vader time. Vader, unfortunately, passing away since he did that induction speech. I think he'd be well overdue. We have the Bella Twins. We have Molly Holly going in. I unfortunately don't see any other women being inducted. But I see several comments. She made a hell of a return this year at the Royal Rumble. I think she is definitely one of the greatest women of all time. I am biased. All right. I got to perform and be friendly with her at a restaurant in Chicago that she ran in the Squared Circle. I would deeply love to see Victoria be honored in the Hall of Fame. I think that you could say some of them are overdue. The Molly Holly one is overdue. Right. So, and some people say, oh, it's too early for the Bella Twins. They absolutely deserve it. They deserve that. They're a very popular and very, very successful team. Other people with different names, they want to see Paul Heyman go in. I absolutely agree with that. People would love to see Gail Kim get respected there. Edie is texting. He'd love to see Crime Time or Shad Gaspar go in. That would definitely be surprising because they were a fun team, but I don't think they even got to be tag team champions with them.
No, and I get the circumstances behind, him saving his, and dying. It was sad, but I don't think they've done enough in WWE to get into the Hall of Fame.
Who knows? If you're a beloved team, and they were over. They were very, very over when they were over.
But do you get what I mean? I mean, it was like if somebody were to say like they should put Luke Harper in the Hall of Fame, but they shouldn't put Luke Harper in the Hall
You
of
don't
Fame.
think you don't think he had a Hall of Fame career?
No, I don't at all. No.
I'm surprised. I disagree with you on that. But that's hard, though. It's hard to say somebody doesn't deserve it because it feels like you're insulting them, But then, people were very upset when Coco Beware got in, right? They're like, why are they putting Coco Beware in? He was just a beloved job guy. He would go, people liked him, but he would go out and lose. He was losing a lot of people.
Sure.
But he was a big name who was a part of the company at a very, very big time when there wasn't like a ton of people doing that, and he was a beloved guy. This one, Michael Covington, always has great stuff. Thank you so much, Mike. You're with our show all the time. I appreciate that. He goes, will Ken Shamrock ever get in? They induct him in the Impact Hall of Fame this year, and The Rock did that for him. Sent in the tape for him. They did that earlier this year.
Herman just gave you my troll pick. That's what I was going to say.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll get to troll picks. We'll do the goofy ones in a little bit. Ken Shamrock absolutely 100% deserves a Hall of Fame induction in WWE. He is very much a big star for them in the Attitude Era, hung with the big names. And if you also talk about representing wrestling, one became a massive star with the UFC. He's probably one of the biggest MMA fighters of all time. And is a legit tough guy. He came into wrestling through fighting. The legit tough guy. One of my favorite interviews I ever did, Ken Shamrock. So if you guys Google that, Ken Shamrock WrestleZone, would love it. I don't know when they're going to do it, but I would absolutely love that one here as well. What's the troll one then? Let's get in the goofy ones.
Big Show.
Big Show. Well, Big Show just went to AEW, so that's not going to happen for a while.
That's why I said that was a troll pick.
Whenever his deal with them is done, we can talk about that. Or maybe they'll let him do it while he's still signed with AEW. He's not wrestling that much. This would be a wild one. William Two Wages. You want to talk about celebrity inductions? They had the celebrity come over just for fun, right? Chuck Norris. I believe one time he was a ringside enforcer and got to karate kick Jeff Jarrett while wearing Wrangler jeans and cowboy boots.
We could keep the gig going. We could say they should induct Chris Jericho. They should induct the Hardy Boys, etc.
Everybody that's in. Those guys will get inducted. Jericho's going to go in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know about that.
Yes, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. If Ultimate Warrior sued the WWE and still gets inducted, Chris Jericho will go in the Hall of Fame.
When is he going to let bygones be bygones and finally come back?
When his contract with AEW is done.
Will he, though? Is he going to leave when his contract is up?
I don't know, but I mean, like, if he's not under contract, you can talk to him about it then. Fingers crossed, right? I don't think Chris Jericho needs to wrestle again for WWE. I'd be surprised if he does that. Maybe.
Fair enough.
Maybe, but I definitely a Hall of Fame guy. Jericho's a Hall of Fame guy. Everyone knows that. They say Christian is Hall of Fame worthy. Absolutely, Christian is Hall of Fame worthy. So I was like, I understood that pick here. Other people with different names that they want to see in the Hall of Fame. A couple people saying Sable. Ray Garza saying Sable. Sable is definitely a star and a name of a different era, specifically the way women are portrayed in WWE. She was very much on the Divas side of things. I believe she's the first big name that posed in Playboy for with WWE in the Attitude Era, but a whole different approach to women then. I almost wonder if they would get flack if they put Sable in. But I could see multi-generational fans just being like, it's Sable. It's a name we knew. We grew up. She probably helped many a young boy find their attraction to women in the teenage-driven Attitude Era. But I could see some blowback from more of the younger wrestling purists of today's generation. You say, it's all about the women who can go in the ring and all these different things, So, but I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it. I wouldn't be opposed to it here. I do think there'll be some surprising inductions. They announced as part of this 2021 class here. I think there'll be a couple of surprises left there.
Going to be interesting for sure. Let's just waiting for that pre-sale to start.
Yeah, definitely. So continue to give us your thoughts on who deserves to go in the WWE Hall of Fame. Obviously, root for John Clark. He's trying to get himself some WrestleMania tickets come March 16th. What are you going for, John? Are you going to go for both nights, or how are you going to do it? You're showing your Ticketmaster credit that they owe you from last year.
The combo pack, yes. Absolutely.
So if you get the combo pack, explain. I know I asked you about this on Monday. If you get the combo pack, do you get the same seat both nights, or are they going to move you into different seats?
Same seats. Yep.
Okay.
Double the price, though.
Double the price. Maybe you're going to use up more than that Ticketmaster credit.
Oh, I probably will.
Very interesting for sure. Very interesting for sure. If you've been with us the whole show, go ahead and hit that like button. Okay, I know how many of you, and you can hit it more than once, by the way. If you haven't done it already, subscribe to the WrestleZone podcast feed. We dropped some really, really cool interviews on there. We spoke with Matt Hardy last week. We just put up an interview with Petey Williams, which is pretty sweet. Ashley Vox, who's been doing some great stuff in AEW. You haven't seen her on TV yet. We also have the post-show media scrums with Paul White, Tony Khan, Darby Allin, and Hangman Page immediately after AEW Revolution, if you want to check those out. And all of our shows, plus our weekly Thursday show dropped a little bit early. WCW Rewritten is a show that kind of rewrites WCW from Starrcade 1997 on. I'm loving these shows. I watched the first two. I'm going to binge the last two. It's a bingeable show. So if you haven't seen it in a couple weeks, watch two in a row and you get this kind of like in your head. It's almost like a radio theater for wrestling, I would say. Really, really like it. Quite the show the D'Angelo brothers are putting on. And thank you to, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you caught it, the thousands of you listening on the podcast feed. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Things are growing. It's a good time for wrestling media, obviously before WrestleMania, but you guys are really sticking by us. Are we number one? No. Am I saying we're number one? No, I'm not going to claim it. But I know that you guys are with the show. You listen. You spend hours with us every single week. Thank you so much. I know everyone at the site is grateful. We love you guys. I know many of your names. Some of you, I see more texts from you than I do my own family as I tease, but I really, really appreciate it. You give me a follow on the Twitter machine at Kev Kellam. John Clark, where can they follow you?
Sean R. Clark 12.
You can also, if you know anyone in the Midwest, come and tell them to see me perform comedy live. March 12th, I'll be at Madame Zuzu's, the coffee shop owned by NWA owner Billy Corgan in the north suburbs of Chicago. And then March 19th, I'll be doing two shows at Valparaiso, Indiana's Market Lounge. So give them a Google or go follow me on Twitter. You can follow the links there as well at Kev Kellam. We will be giving away some action figures this week. I'll show some of the action figures. I have some more elites I gotta give away. I got a John Cena. I got a John Cena right there. I have a couple of those. I have another Roman Reigns elite to mail out. So just keep sharing the show. If you're a first-time viewer and you haven't shared the show, share it so you can win stuff from us. I may be getting like a super rare WWE elite figure to give away before WrestleMania. I don't have it yet, but I may be getting my hands on that. So probably the hardest one to get in the new line as I throw them on the floor. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Don't worry, they will get to you in better stasis while you can here. Great show, guys. Enjoy wrestling. Stay safe. Absolutely, you guys stay safe too. Shut down your booger factory. Close your word hole. All right, close down your word hole. Put your headphones on. Listen to the podcast if you haven't listened to the past episodes. Catch up on them. All right. And cover your nose, all those good things. Keep fighting, keep reloading the ZocDoc website that's going to give you those vaccinations. Maybe you need to drive pretty far to get a vaccination. Go get it. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Be safe. Be respectful of others. All right, let's get through this thing together. We're tag teaming. We're getting that hot tag. We're shaking up these ropes. John Clark, Tuesday, March 16th. Gonna refresh all the different computers. Let's do it for him, baby.
A good birthday present.
Oh, we can't just give it to you for your birthday. You're spending your own money on your own birthday, pal. All right, let's send that positive energy John Clark's way. Let's send that positive energy John Clark's way, because this little wrestle boy has a wrestling dream, and it's a mania. He wants to see his mania in big lights.
Proving Tyler Tree's wrong.
Tyler's gonna love that.
Silence the doubters.
Yeah. Get the haters. Thank you guys so much. Let's give him that positive energy. Let's get through all this. Hey, the light is there. The light is coming up. We're getting through this dark period. It's gonna be there. We're gonna have a great summer. We're gonna have a great WrestleMania. Enjoy it with us. Keep following the wrestling, and remember, when watching wrestling, tell them what they got to do, John.
Enjoy wrestling.
Don't throw your hand.